So here's a
completely.
question for both of y'all because I love the Genesis story here. We have classical music on the right, we have metal music on the left. How far of a stretch is it for both of you musically to end up where you are now, right? Because like
Oh,
being a
easily.
classical fiddle, a classical violinist, and a fiddle player are completely different, and being a
Yeah,
country guitarist and a metal shredder again completely different. So what's
that's
the
true,
stretch
man.
like for each of you for this?
It doesn't feel like a stretch at all, buddy. I mean, it's not honestly. I mean, we're of the mind, I mean, all music is music, So I
Absolutely.
mean, and we, if it works, then it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And we,
You'll know.
you'll know, you'll know immediately.
You'll
Well,
know.
nope, that didn't work. Let's try
You know
something
what's
else.
crazy though too? That he's super humble about it. He won't even tell you, but Jakey's a total, total music nerd, like theory nerd, like, and he's proud of it, and coming from the classical side, I love that stuff too, but we put that together and in music, and it's just like I think that's where a lot of our sound comes from. Is a lot of people don't know is a lot of the melodies and a lot of the chord structures come from Jake on that side of the with his knowledge of the chordal structures and like getting into the kind of like I think maybe does you think metal played into that?
Oh,
It all played
it
into
all is, yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so it works, man, because like bringing it all together, we can still communicate and then kind of create. I'll be honest, like I don't even know what our sound is called. We're still,
Yeah,
we just haven't, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I've
and,
heard you guys describe it as industrial dirt, right?
I'll stop that.
No, is
and
that
that was what we used to call it. Honestly, right now, I'm not even sure what it is. I mean, we've and over this last year, Chris. I mean, we've really opened up the gates, as it were. We were we kind of had a just kind of like a paradigm shift when it comes to how we were thinking musically. So we're starting to introduce some different elements into our music, and just hoping that it is convincing, and it's received the way that we're hoping it's received.
of course, yeah.
Um, but I mean, as Rico's saying, I mean, just being able to continue to evolve. I think that's super important. As artists and musicians for sure. And it's really easy to get completely just consumed with the business side of things, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's always something to be done,
Of
always,
course, yeah.
always. But so making time to work on the music and the art form, and and ultimately the reasoning that you got in this anyway, the love of music and just being a part of it, but yeah, I mean, it's a balance, but yeah, we're certainly trying to to push the envelope.
I'm excited for people to hear the new stuff coming out next year. Like I really am. Like
It's different.
it's so
It's different.
different, and I think a part of that too is this is our change of our lineup change.
Hmm.
You know, and the environment we have now.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still fiddle based,
Oh yeah,
and yeah. So I mean, it's not like we're completely abandoning where we came from. Not at all.
neo jazz Tejano.
I want to talk about the two words that really made me focus on that, and that was paradigm shift, because
Yes, sir.
it's an interesting term, and I want people to understand what that means.
Mhm.
But from your perspective, when you're talking about a shift in that fashion, how often do you find yourselves as a live band kind of experimenting on your audience before taking that shift into the studio?
That's a great question, man. And ultimately, it's different now, Chris, because I'm a huge fan of podcasts, and I listen to a bunch of them and yours. Fantastic, my friend,
Thank
by the
you.
way. But it's the the days of actually being able to write a song and like being able to test it in real time is kind of over.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't really take it out onto the road and like play it, see how crowds react, because I mean, you play it once, it's filmed,
it's everywhere.
and
Oh
That's right.
yeah,
It's
it's on,
everywhere. Yep.
and by the time you get into the studio to record it,
people know, right?
it's old news.
Yeah, I never thought about it like
So
that.
it's difficult, but yeah, sometimes we pull stuff out, to be a bit conspicuous, but it doesn't work. I mean, we're like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I never thought about that concept though. Like, you're right. It's because not even. I guess that's pretty recent too, because we would play some songs to the public to see how they would react and be like, "Oh, this one definitely should go on the album." That Honky Tonk in Heaven album we have, and those songs, "Locked Up in Lubbock" and all that stuff. we play those out. Teardrops. I remember the first time we played it for the writer. You know, we're like, let's try this out. See if this is a song we want to record, and the people danced to it and liked it. But you're right, dude. I never thought
It's
about
just
like
different.
like people. If somebody gets a phone out, and the thing that stinks right now is like consumerism, man. Like the attention spans of all these people right now is like what do they say, 3 seconds or something like. Oh, look, thumbs up. Um, the attention spans. So it's like they eat it, they consume it, and they want the next thing.
What's next?
What's next? So if somebody does catch something that you're like, I can see that. You know, it's like it becomes overrated.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean,
Well, it's
by the
funny.
time
Like
you're-
I know this is completely a different genre, but Chapel Roan is a good example of what you're talking
Oh, yeah.
about. She has this record that just blew up this year, and so happy for her, by the way. But she has a song that she performs live at every show. It's called Subway, and
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's her best song. And
But she won't put it out, right?
it's not out yet, right? And
Yeah.
so that's scary. That's got to be scary for an artist like that because it's not even out yet, and it's huge on the internet.
She said she wasn't gonna put it out because people were
Right.
Didn't she do an SNL thing too, or what was the performance? Was it SNL?
It was SNL, yes. Yep.
And then they're like, she's like, she didn't want to put the song out anymore because people already spoiled the. It wouldn't have the same
Yeah.
pizzazz.
yeah, respect, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man.
Absolutely sucks as a fan, by the way. It truly does. But yeah, that's my favorite song from her, and that happens a lot with what you're calling consumerism. It's so true from an artistic standpoint, and that's a huge risk as an artist to put stuff out like that. You know. Plus, then you have to own up to that in the studio. You have to live up to those performances that you've put out there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.